So over the time where I've been filming World War II themed YouTube videos for this channel, you guys have learned a lot about, the unit I portray and what I portray, and that being a medic in the 8th Infantry, 8th Medical Battalion. And so, I came to the realization today that the last 3 years I've been making, content on World War II history and stuff like that, I've never dove into like what are inside my aid bags. So I think that is what we're going to be doing today. So without further ado, let's dive into the medic's aid bags. All right. So these are your medic bags. So these are, you would get issued 2 aid bags. These are what these bags are called. These are aid bags. Your yoke suspenders or yoke straps are these big, wide suspenders to help distribute weight. And then to keep it from swinging around, you have your cantle strap. So you'd have one on the rear side and the front side of the bags. This would clip here. That's what's like across here when I'm wearing them. And these would be issued to the medics. You would have, depending on your rank, you would go to a basically like a pharmacy, field pharmacy. It's not quite a pharmacy, but you'd go once you ran out of supplies, you'd go turn in your aid bags, and then the guys at this pharmacy center would then give you a new set of aid bags, new set of yoke suspenders and stuff like that, filled with new resources. So what we have inside here, our base is based off of a NCO's setup for content inside, and so I based this off of the World War II Medical Research Center. It's a website that is still up. It's not ran anymore, but it has a lot of information. If you are interested in putting together a kit like this, or a private's medical bags, or officers, it's all on that website. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested. There's also a lot of different topics, and it just covers a lot about the medical history if you're interested in the medical side like I am. But let's get into the medic bags. All right, so we're going to first get into the right medic bag. So this would be on your right side. And so like I said before, what we have in here is based off of the NCO setup for a World War II medic. So in here we have our EMT tag, emergency medical tags. So this would be, you'd write this with your patient. You'd write all their information down, the injury type, and then treatment you gave to them. And so this would help with like the battalion surgeon at aid station won't have to, guess what the treatment you were giving, the treatment was that you gave the patient. So, we've all heard stories of, take a shot of morphine and then you put it in their collar. Well, they did do that, but just this would be more reliable if you would write down, okay, I gave them 1 syringe of morphine at this time. This would help the surgeon and other people who will be overseeing that patient know that, okay, this person had a dose of morphine or a tetanus oxide vaccine at this time, so we don't have to deliver any more of that vaccine or a painkiller, morphine. And it would also know the time between each dose, so you don't overdose the patient. But medics would carry these. Every rank would have these if you were a combat medic. And so what it looks like, they had graphite paper here. So let's see if there's any past stamps on this one. So what you would do is you would write this stuff down, and then on the back side there'd be, so you would write, here, we'll get this one. You write everything down here. This is what would go with the patient. You would tie this onto their uniform. Behind it, you had some graphite paper here, so you press into this and it would transfer onto this paper. So you'd have your own record of, what you've written down. And so, fortunately, the ones I have used haven't gone through quite as well. This was also just given to me. Oh, see, I don't know if you could see it very well, but there are writing on this one. Well, yeah. So this is what would be written out and would make the patient, would help the surgeon work on the patient. So we'll set that right here. The next thing would be the pill vials. So I actually have stuff in some of these. So you'd have your sulfadiazine tablets, so kind of like wound tablets. So these were antibacterial medications that you would give to the patient who was wounded. You'd have also had sulfamilinide powder and the wound tablets, which we'll get into in the bag. But so this was antibacterial. You would give this to a patient who was wounded, had an open wound. So yeah, that's sulfadiazine. Set that right here. Next, you'd have aspirin. So in here, I actually have aspirin in here. It's not 16 tablets. It's like a crap ton of tablets. But some actual aspirin. On here, it says 16 tablets. I don't have 16 in here. I have way more. It's cool that we have aspirin in here because, when somebody has a headache, we could give them some aspirin. And these are baby aspirin. If you don't know, dosage and stuff, baby aspirin is about the standard type of aspirin that, EMTs will administer. So it's easy if you don't know numbers or how much milligrams it is. 4 tablets of these baby aspirin, that's a full dose. And then we'll move on to the next thing. This is just a laxatives, compound cathartic tablets. And these, I also have stuff in here because you never know when we need to use this, especially when we're eating crappy rations. But in here we have some actual laxatives in here. And so they would have this for kind of the reason I said. Sorry, the sun's like blaring in my face. But the reason that I said, they would be issued these rations, and the rations weren't very digestible. So there would be soldiers who are just not feeling well with the food settling in them, constipation and stuff like that. So the medic, you'd go and be like, "Hey doc, could I get some laxatives?" And they would administer some laxatives. So next in the aid bags, we have just various size blanket pins. These ones got a little bit water damage. All of this is reproductions except one thing in here. But a little bit water damage down here, but these are blanket pins. So we have the medium ones and the large ones here. And these were used for clipping together triangle bandages or whatever you'd need a safety pin for. So there's not much we could talk about these, so we'll just set them down here beside this sun. And as we talked about earlier, we have wound tablets. So all of these I made, a good majority, like the pin holder here, I made. A lot of stuff you're about to see I made. But these are wound tablets. So in here I just have Altoid mints. But, they played a part at reenactments. I have them wax dipped, which was, there's a lot more wax on here, but they were coated in wax. But yeah, so I made these. The NCOs would have 3 wound tablets, sets of wound tablets in here, 3 packets. So each one of these are a dose. So you'd have 3 doses of wound tablets here. So similar to the pill vial, if a soldier was wounded, you'd administer these. Unless it was if the soldier was hit in the stomach, then you would not administer wound tablets because you need to drink a lot of water with that, and just a open wound in the stomach and intestines and stuff like that is just not good for stuff to move through there while there's a hole through them. But these are my wound tablets, and like I said, this would be in the NCO bag, aid bags. Next we get into the interesting stuff like tourniquet for stopping major hemorrhaging or bleeding. So in here I have one of my reproduction tourniquets in here. We'll get into the other one, which is just loose in this bag, so you guys could get a look at it. But tourniquet. Then we have burn injury kit. And so this would be used for burns, obviously. And you'd have your ointment you'd put on the burn and then bandage it up. And yeah, minor burns. Yeah. Like I said, most of this stuff is reproductions that I made. There's only one thing in here that's an original, and that's this compressed bandage. And so in here we just have a compressed bandage, Carlisle style bandage, and you put this over wounds. It's a wound dressing. We'll put that here and move on to the next thing. We have an eye dressing unit for eye injuries. This would have a eye shield, something to cover your eye, boric acid. Oh, wait, no, that's just talking about acid burns. But yeah, eye dressing, adhesive plaster, so like medical tape, bandages, and stuff like that for eye injuries, penetrating eye wounds, burns, stuff like that. We have adhesive, just medical tape. I spray painted. Just medical tape. Good for other things besides medical purposes. And we'll set it over here. And then 2 cartons of morphine syrups. So these I did make also out of super glue and a bicycle pump needle. You could use real needles while making these, but you know, for tacticals and stuff like that, you don't really want to stab the person. But I have 5 of these morphine syrups in each one of these boxes, so that's how they would be issued. And you got 2 cartons of morphine. And then finally, well, not finally, we have our litter straps. What just fell? Oh, my pencil fell. We also have a pencil in there. This isn't a military issued pencil like they would have. This is just a personal purchase pencil. Just a tiny pencil, keep in your aid bags. These are your litter straps. So when you're, this pairs with, you know, the wide suspenders of your yoke straps. So when you're moving stretchers all day, you clip these into the rings. Here, I'll demonstrate really fast. So the ring right here, you'd clip in, clip this to, and then there's another ring on the back. There we go. And so when you're moving around, you put the stretcher handle through here, so you don't have to work with your arms, and the weight could be just pulled down on the wide straps of your litter straps. We'll take this off now, hopefully, maybe. There we go. And so they were issued 2 of these for each side. Take this off now. So the next item in here isn't really a standard thing that a NCO would have in their kit, but I thought they were cool. Thought it was cool. This would be more seen in an officer's aid bags, but it's just a surgical kit. This is a post-war 1947 dated surgical kit, so there's really no difference between just the medical department logo back here and the ones in World War II were more often khaki than OD, but it plays a part. This will work for a World War II impression. So you just have different little tools in here. It's not often an NCO would have this, like I said, but just a cool little piece I like to keep with my kit here. And that is, let me double check really fast. Yeah, that is the contents of the pouch on your right side. So we'll get a overhead shot of this so you guys get a good look. And yeah. Alright, so here's the overhead shot of everything in the right aid bag. So we have our surgical kit, morphine syringes, medical tape, wound tablets, blanket pins, an eye dressing unit, compress field dressing, tourniquet, burn kit, EMT tags, and the medication vials. So now, and litter straps, forgot about the litter straps. Now we'll go into the left aid bag. Alright, so next up is the left hand aid bag. So we have that right here. So this is where it gets a little bit iffy because I did not do good with these reproductions, but you'll get the idea. These are, I'm going to eventually fix them, but yeah. But first we'll talk about the tourniquet because that's just the closest thing here. So this is my homemade tourniquet that I made. This is pretty spot on to what they would have had World War II. And so, very simple design. Like, let's see. I'll loop it first. So, I don't remember if I still have the video up, but I did have a video of Stop the Bleed training somewhere on this channel, and this is a very, very simple tourniquet compared to what we have in modern times, modern medicine. So this thing does not have a windlass, the thing that you twist with a normal tourniquet. This is just a simple cinch down tourniquet, and that's as good as it got. You just cinch it down as tight, hopefully stopping the bleed of a very bad hemorrhage. Very simple design, but I guess it got the job done back then, so can't be that harsh on it. Yeah, tourniquet. We'll lay it right here so you guys can get a good look at it. We'll go with all this other stuff. So right here is your medical department tin. In here you'd have iodine swabs. I have not made reproduction iodine swabs yet. So there's nothing in here except Band-Aids, but this works as a perfect Band-Aid tin as well. If you don't have iodine swabs or you don't want to make any repros. Really good Band-Aid kit. And this is an original, which is crazy. Really good condition with the original. Like the other one I have, it's not as good as this. This is like perfect condition. Bring it back here. Then we have our ammonia flask. So this would be holding ammonia. And we'll unscrew it. So this is a cup that has shrunk, so I cannot get this off unless I heat up some water and dip it in there to kind of like soften it so I take it off. But cup of ammonia, well, cup with the ammonia. So they use this for wartime fatigue. So if a soldier was exhausted, they take a whiff of this, and then it would just like, because if you ever smelt ammonia, you'd know this stuff is strong. And for soldiers experiencing very much combat fatigue, a lot of combat fatigue, the medics would take their cap, fill it up, and have the soldier drink it to really ward off that combat fatigue, which seems crazy. And it would come in a little tin like this. This is a later war model of ammonia flask. The earlier ones would have a tin cup instead of this Bakelite one. And this plastic actually is toxic, which is interesting. It's toxic if you ingest it, but it smells like fly paper, and that's because the chemicals they use to make these plastics were also the same chemicals that they used for phosgene gas. So when you smell this, you're basically smelling phosgene gas, or what you would smell before a phosgene gas attack, which I think is interesting. And now we move into the abomination part of this bag, and it's my 16 plain gauze compressed bandages I made. And so we'll lay these out. They're all the same. These would have 3-inch by 16-yard gauze bandages, and they would be compressed. These are just, I stuffed in here, so they're not like perfectly compressed like original ones are, or the ones you see in the, oh, that one has a tear in it. Oh, pretty decent sized tear. I'll have to replace this one. Well, I'm going to replace all of them eventually, but you'd have a lot of these, and these were like wherever you need gauze for. So packing wounds, wrapping all sorts of different wounds, or just there if you need. Oh, okay, I only have 8. It was privates once. I had 16. So yeah, just gauze. Paired with gauze, you have some gauze shears, early trauma shears basically, or gauze and gauze cutters. But yeah, we'll put this with the gauze. And then we have 4 triangular bandages. I'll get them all out. I have them packed in here in a way. These are new aid bags, and the other ones I had were a little bit larger than these, so I had to like repack these. So 4 triangle bandages. These were good for all sorts of stuff. Bandages, slings, tourniquets. If you didn't have a tourniquet, you'd make one out of these, out of triangle bandages. Maybe I'll demonstrate that in a future video, but we're not doing that today. But they would be issued 4 triangle bandages. We'll set them up here for the overshot display here in a few minutes. And then this is where the next thing, it's basically the same thing, just different packaging. You'd have just plain gauze bandage, but the ones that you see on the World War II Medical Research Center. I couldn't find PDFs to copy from. I couldn't make correct looking ones, so I had to settle with just the plain gauze bandages. So this was this is the same size of bandages that would be in here, 3-inch by 6 yards, and you'd have 4 of these. This one's a little bit damaged from the tactical. Set them up like this instead. And then just for fun, last thing I have here, just a random pair of forceps. Suture forceps. Throw that in here. And yeah, that is what you would have in your left aid bag. Well, roughly what you would have in your left aid bag. Yeah. We'll get an overlook at this now. So, all right, here's the overlook of the left aid bag. So we got our triangle bandages here. A little hair on that one. We'll just pull that off. Triangle bandages there. They got a little damage from the tactical, and these are all reproductions except these 2 in that. But yeah, we got 4 triangle bandages there, 4 plain gauze bandages, some bandage cutters, bandage shears, some compressed gauze, our ammonia flask and medical department tin for iodine swabs, and our tourniquet. I didn't really go over what you would use iodine swabs for, but you would use them for basically disinfectant. So you would, if you needed to do some minor surgery, you'd cover the area with iodine, and then you do your minor surgery, and hopefully it would kill off any potential bacteria and stuff. But yeah, iodine swabs. And that is your left aid bag contents. All right, so now that you know about, contents of the aid bags, now, shit. All right, so that will be the video, I guess. So I hope you guys learned something cool from this video, and if you're try and put together a medic impression. I hope this was helpful. Again, if you are interested in seeing the Medical Research Center, I'll put a link to it in the description below. So go check that out if you're interested. A lot of cool information there, and just a good little like idea of what you need for a impression. I have a lot of ideas coming out for future videos, and I just would like to hear your thoughts on some of the ideas I got. So one idea I have, is it involves my carbine. I'm thinking about making a video of like trying to pass the World War II era rifleman qualification test with the M1 carbine. I think that'd be a really good idea for a video, and I just want to hear your guys' opinion on that idea. And the next one was just like run some World War II era medical scenarios. I get some of my friends out here to be patients, and we could like teach you how to transport them, how to treat for shock, just how medics in World War II would treat their patients for different scenarios. And I just think that'd be a really cool idea. But let me know in the comments what you think. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I guess I will see you around. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.